Hello and welcome to Cricbuzz Live. I'm Saiyami Kher. It's day 3 of the World Cup and two teams that want to prove their credentials take on each other and begin their World Cup campaign. South Africa take on Sri Lanka in Delhi. And in the Cricbuzz studios, someone who has proven his credentials time and again has begun his World Cup campaign. Please welcome Parthiv Patel and along with him another very safe pair of hands, Dinesh Karthik. Welcome, PP.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome back. How does it feel to be back?
Great. Bit nervous though.
Bit nervous. You can't be nervous, yeah? You can't be nervous because I have to share a secret with all our viewers. I've been told, this is the top secret that I've been told by a director and producer, is that Parthiv Patel, we all know that DK is that student who always comes first. He's on the first bench, he knows everything. That we know. But with Parthiv, the secret is that he is someone who pretends like he sits on the last bench and he'll be like, "Aap kuch pata nahi hai," but he is the most prepared with the most notes. That's the secret I've been told.
So that's what we all have heard. No, the looks are very deceptive. So that's why I come.
Coming from Tanzania.
Yes.
Quite a place to go for a holiday.
Yeah.
Seen wildlife, and today he is going to be talking about South Africa, which is again known very much for wildlife.
He was preparing for South Africa.
I was preparing for the South Africa game. When I got my roster, I knew that first game would be South Africa. So I had to get familiar with the South African
Did you spot the
conditions.
big five though?
Yeah, I did spot big five. And I saw lions like dogs. I saw about 50 lions.
So Parthiv's completely prepared for South Africa, but is South Africa prepared for the World Cup? Because we all know that they've always had this thing with the World Cup is the C word nobody wants to talk about. But yesterday, DK, I don't know if you watched the show, was very passionately talking about South Africa, and he said he has a soft corner for them, and he said he'll tell us why. But PB, do you think that they are going to be the dark horse this World Cup?
Absolutely. I think a couple of days back, I posted on my social media that my top 4, South Africa is definitely one of them. The way they've been playing, the way they played against Australia. When you look at their side, it looks like they've got a complete side. If you look at Quinton de Kock, a left-handed opener, left-handed opener always helps, doesn't it? And they're always destructive. And
Especially if you're slightly short.
and if you're a wicket keeper. and then they've got Heinrich Klaasen, who's in an outstanding form, and then David Miller, who's someone who's reinvented himself when he started playing for Gujarat Titans. Aiden Markram, someone who can spin really well. Reza Hendricks, there's a lot of experience out there, and all-rounders, and Marco Jansen. They have an option of, say, if they want to play Patrick Vayo or if they want to play Rabe Samsi. So they have all the basis covers. And the fast bowlers, KG Rabada, Coetzee is someone who's got an X factor who consistently bowls more than 140. And they have skill of Marco Jansen as well. So all bases are covered for South Africa.
DK, yesterday you spoke about the scars because we all know what happened in 92, then the 99 Donald Klusener thing, which no one wants to remember, 2003, the Madsen Duckworth Lewis, and then the Elliott Blitz in 2015. But you spoke about how 7 debutants this World Cup for South Africa, and they won't be carrying those scars forward. So they'll be coming in without the pressure, can we say?
You can't walk into a World Cup without pressure.
The pressure of the C word.
The tags.
Yes.
The tags, it's a rather heavy tag on you. And South Africa have managed to hold on to it World Cup after World Cup, be it the T20 format or the 50-over format. Their only win, I think, coming in the Commonwealth Games many, many years ago, which is where they have their big title win, so to say. And South Africa is, every World Cup you take their team and you have a look at that and you'll say, wow, that's quite the construction of what a good side should look like. They'll have gun fast bowlers, very good middle order, always a left-handed, right-handed opening combination for a long time. And then you have the spinners, so-called weaklings for some time, but in fact that's a box again they've picked now, and people are saying that, if you look at the squad, it is a solid squad. And they have, you have to say, in the eyes of the cricketing fans, have dropped a little bit. Dark horse is not a tag that you can attach South Africa with. Dark horse would be a Bangladesh, Afghanistan. Suddenly you expect them to do something surprising. But the fact that we are calling them a dark horse is only because of their record in World Cup cricket. And they are walking into this World Cup under the radar a little bit, where teams, where the Australia, England and India are looked at as, these guys have to be there in the semi-final.
But isn't that a good thing? Because it's better to be under the radar, right?
That is what I was getting to. The fact that they're going under the radar quietly and then they, find a way to get to the semi-final spot. They have the squad. I think they do have all the tools that's required. Now we need to see how they put it together when the big moment comes, and it will come. In a couple of weeks' time, it will come. But the start of the journey is today for them.
Parthiv Bavuma said the same thing. He said that this narrative will remain until things change. This is what he has had to say in his quote. But he also said that they don't shy away from talking about the choker tag because yes, it has been there and they don't want to pretend like it's not there. But he said until we don't change it, this narrative won't change.
It doesn't. No, obviously, the record says by itself. The history says that every time a knockout game has come and South Africa has choked. So that is the reason why people are talking about it. And to me, I think this is a fresh side, as DK and you mentioned that there are 7 debutants. And one more thing which we are probably have to take that in consideration is the IPL. There are a lot of players who have come and playing IPL. So IPL is also a pressure tournament. So they know how to handle pressure. Quinton de Kock has won finals for Mumbai Indians. So he knows that in a bigger games you need your bigger players to step in and perform. So that's something they would be talking about. Yes, I mean, outer noise we always talk about that you cannot shut it down, but it depends on you how much you want to read, how much you want to hear. It doesn't go away. When that's a human side, it doesn't go away. But after all, if your focus is on the cricket and on the job which you want to do it, then things doesn't matter what we are saying it here in any studio.
It's very interesting actually. So as a South African team, in 2015, Gary Kirsten had won it with India for 2011. So then when they were part of the I think it was the Champions Trophy or post that, wherever it was. So in the preparation, in the lead up to the 2015 World Cup, they had this discussion. The Chokers tag is there. How are we going to approach this? Because you have to remember in 2011 as well, they had a good World Cup. They were doing really well until they lost a game, not against, but in Bangladesh in a very shocking manner, and they were removed from the World Cup. Now, so there were 2 ways to go. One was, yes, the tag is there and we're going to accept it. It's fine. At the end of the day, we are choking because we are getting into a place where we can move further, but we're choking. So what is it that we need to address? Paddy Upton was telling me the story, who's been a part of the support staff. And he said that there was a bit of friction because there was one group which believed that, we need to address the fact that we're chokers. It's okay. Let's, the big moments come. What do we do? What do we need to do as a team? And then the other side, there was obviously the likes of A.B. de Villiers and a few of the senior players who felt that let's not look at that term at all. Let's just go out there and play cricket. We all know what happened in the 2015 World Cup. They were doing brilliantly and the day came and Grant Elliott literally blew them away at the end. So they were actually doing really well. They matched up really well. If you remember, the first wicket that fell even in the 2019 World Cup in a match against England was Imran Tahir. So they were thinking tactically, and if you just run past these tournaments, is how they address it. And again, it will be an issue that they've spoken about in the dressing room. In the recently concluded T20 World Cup as well, they were doing well. They beat India and they were well on to get a place in the semi-final until they lost to Netherlands. So it is a tag that is there with them. How are they going to address it? Are they just going to brush it under the carpet, or they're going to say it's fine, it's part of sport, let's move on to the next one? That's how they need to figure out what they need to figure out in this World Cup.
Well, we are talking about South Africa, and Sri Lanka have won the toss. They've decided to bowl first. But let's have a look at South Africa's playing 11 first, because we are so completely into the team right now. The surprise there is that there is no Shamsi, just one spinner with Maharaj. Parthiv, you think that's a surprise considering playing in Delhi? You'd expect 2 spinners?
See, obviously, again, we are talking about history of Delhi pitch, but if you look at the past record in domestic cricket on that Kotla ground, I mean, Arun Jaitley Stadium ground, so that's where a lot of big runs have been scored. So traditionally, yes, it has helped spinners, but in the recent past, it has become quite a flat wicket. So I think that could be the reason why they've gone with this kind of combination. So there'll always be a debate between whether they want to play a second spinner or an all-rounder, and it'll come down to the condition. So I'm sure they've assessed these conditions and they would have felt that there wouldn't be as much turn as we've been talking about on Delhi pitch, and that is the reason why we saw this kind of playing 11 there.
It's interesting. Among the venues, there has been a lot of work done in the lead up to the World Cup, and most of it has been on the peripherals, the ground, the toilets, the seats, those kind of things. Delhi is one ground which has undergone a sea of change. It's not only just the seats and making sure outside for the audience it's good, but also they've relayed this pitch. In the last 10 matches that's happened in Delhi, 5 teams have won batting first and 5 teams have won batting second. So there's not much to choose from. So then you need to look at your squad and go, okay, which suits me better? And on the given day, Sri Lanka have decided to bowl first, which is understandable. But if you do look at that 11, the one surprising name is Gerald Coetzee. Now, we all expected Shamsi to play and he hasn't played, which is surprising because he had a stellar time from the 2019 World Cup. But him not being part of the 11 is very interesting. Small ground maybe, or they look at the pitch and go, there will be assistance to the fast bowlers. So that is the only shocking part about, not shocking, surprising part about South Africa's 11. And if you do look at that 11, they are batting a little thin. At number 7, their batting ends. If you look at 8, 9, 10, 11, they're not going to offer you much with the bat. Rabada and Maharaj can probably hang in there, but they're not the ones who are going to, surely get you past the line if required. So that's the one weak area for South Africa.
I think that Coetzee's inclusion is mainly because of the pace and mainly the team which you are playing against, that is Sri Lanka. So you can, that they have used that tactic of bouncing Sri Lanka out so many times, and for that you needed some pace. I think that could be the reason why they might have included him. But that's interesting point that DK has made up here is every team has gone with a number 8 all-rounder.
Correct.
But South Africa here are saying our 7 batters are good enough to get runs, and then we are backing our 5 top order bowlers. I think that's something which that's the thinking behind South Africa's playing 11, and it could change. It's a long tournament, but here at this point of time they're saying these are my 5 top bowlers and I'm going to back them.
Also, you have to remember, Simon, if you look at the team, they have 2 spinners. Aiden Markram is a proper spinner, and he literally bowls 10 overs consistently. He opens the bowling if required, if a left-hander is there, and I won't be surprised if they open even in Delhi today because they have Kusal Perera if he's fit and playing, which we will know in some time. But yes, they have 2 good spinners as well.
Well, we'll have a look at Sri Lanka's playing 11 because the big blow to them, of course, was there's no Hasaranga and no Theekshana because they announced that yesterday. So for them, the big blow is both their top spinners not there. Wellalage, all the pressure on him, Parthiv.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Wellalage has impressed everyone the way he handled himself during Asia Cup. So I thought it's a good opportunity for him to announce himself on a world stage. He has already done that in Asia Cup, under 19 World Cup where he had played. He was highest run scorer for the team. He was highest wicket taker for the team. So he has played 15 games. He's got a 5 against India. So that's something which he'll carry that confidence as a player. It's always someone's loss and someone's gain, isn't it? When Theekshana got injured, so Wellalage will get that opportunity here. But I think looking at Sri Lanka's squad, I think they will need runs from everyone else. You cannot just rely on Kusal Mendis to score those 90s and everyone else doesn't do anything. So every time he scores that 90 runs and Sri Lanka gets to 250. But they would need runs from the openers, they would need runs from Charit Asalanka. And I think Dhananjaya De Silva is a key here because he's someone who can rotate, strike really well. He's got a test 100 at Delhi, so that's something which helps him in getting into the game. So they will need runs from everyone else as well.
They need runs from everyone else because I think the last 3 out of the 5 knocks they've had the worst runs that Sri Lanka have scored. So coming out of a 50 all out, it was almost like the 36 all out that India came and bounced back so strongly. For Sri Lanka coming from that 50 all out, it's going to be mentally also playing on their head, DK.
For sure. There's no doubt about it. They haven't had the best start. I know the warm-ups are not too much to go by. Even there, they had a tough time. Both the teams literally blew them away. So they are under the pump a little bit. And Dasun Shanaka will feel the heat. In the lead up to the World Cup, there were talks like, should we have Dasun Shanaka? And they said it's too close to the competition. So, let's go ahead with him. But he is somebody who's capable of doing so much more with the bat especially. If you do look at the construction of their 11, their biggest question was, do they play 2 spinners or just the one? Wellalage was definitely going to play when Theekshana isn't available. So I think they've chosen Kasun Rajitha ahead of Dushan Hemanta. And that's the big choice because Dushan Hemanta didn't go really well in the practice matches, and understandably so. Their batting pretty much picks themselves. Kusal Perera coming back from a shoulder injury, and that's why he missed a majority of the season in the last 6 months. He's just coming back from an injury and he looks good. He batted well, he batted with good intent, so that's a positive for them. It's the middle order. When I say middle order, lower middle order. Dhananjaya De Silva and Dasun Shanaka haven't been amongst runs so much. Dhananjaya has been slightly better, got a 50 in Asia Cup, got a 50 in one of the practice games. But Dasun Shanaka is the big question mark. If he fires, then Sri Lanka have a good chance in this World Cup to do much better and exceed expectations.
You know, you're chatting about Wellalage, just I get very geeky with understanding what is so interesting and different about newer spinners. Against India especially, his coach was saying that what India was struggling to pick is the one which goes straight, because his ball comes in naturally inward. So is there something interesting that you all picked up during the Asia Cup?
I think it was a fresh air of breath. When you're talking about a new spinner, usually now what we see, every spinner, they come in and they fire the balls. They try and roll the ball. They do not try to spin it. And what we saw about Wellalage was he was trying to spin it. He wasn't afraid of flighting the ball, and that is the reason why he could deceive batters with that arm ball as well. So you can't deceive a batter if you're just bowling fast. You have to have that spin in your hand. You have to flight it, and you have to be brave enough to get hit for a six. And that's the kind of approach I thought we saw from Wellalage, and that is the reason why he got success against that Indian team, because there was some assistance also. You need that, but you need someone to use that from the pitch as well.
What makes him really special from a technical point of view is, as you know, the box is there where the stump is. A lot of bowlers who go wide of the crease, like you take the Akshar Patels, they'll do what's called the undercutter, or they just do side spin. The ball will rotate on its axis with the seam position being this way. But for Wellalage, the good part about it is, even though he goes wide of the crease and he's literally cutting the box, he is able to generate overspin from there, and that is what is special about him. So the one that goes straight with the angle is a natural variation that happens for him. Whereas for an Akshar Patel, it's the other way around. A lot of balls will go straight, and the one that turns is a surprise, because that basically means it's hit the seam or the pitch is having some turn. So that's what makes Wellalage a very different bowler. He's a lot more from the Rangana Herit school, who also was very similar, but he wasn't that wide on the crease as much as he is. I think as he plays Test cricket, he'll realize he has to come slightly to the middle of the box to create more wicket-taking opportunities. But in white ball cricket, this is a good angle to play with, and hence he'll always be a good bowler even to left-handers, because with the angle, a lot of the times he'll go outside the off-stump for the left-hander. So that's what makes him really special from a technical standpoint, actually.
Well, there's someone who is very difficult to deceive is Klaasen, because he loves playing spin, and he's going to be a key to South Africa, but he's been in great form. But just Klaasen and how important he is to South Africa, we can see the numbers do the talking here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the way he's been batting, especially when we talk about South African players, we say they don't play spin really well, they don't rotate strike really well. But I think Klaasen is someone who's a classic example, is a different example than South Africa, where he plays spin really well, and he doesn't hold himself back. We saw that 100 he scored, and the way he smashed Zampa out of the ground. Literally, we were watching the game, it felt like he's going to hit for a six of every ball. But I think in middle of all the big hitting, I think the strike rotation, that makes a big difference when you're playing spin bowling, and that's his strength also. If he hits 1-6, he knows how to get off the strike as well. So that is the reason why we see a lot of consistency with this kind of strike rate from Heinrich Klaasen.
He's averaging almost 60 this year, DK, but what I actually found very interesting when I was doing some reading is, yes, he's in great form right now, but like just 2 years ago, he spoke about how he was at his lowest phase and how he felt that that's what made him a stronger cricketer, a stronger person, because he said he was dropped from domestic cricket. So 2 years ago, to come back from where he was, he said that's what has made him a stronger person. So it just shows his mental strength.
I think both of us sitting here are examples of how to be dropped is very normal. When getting dropped in international cricket is very normal. But to get dropped from your state team, now that is a bit of a bummer, if I might use that word here, because that really hurts your ego. Now, from there to come up, that's a great story. We speak about these swan stories and these very, very motivational ones. That's right up there. And he was actually struggling. I remember he went to CPL and couldn't put bat to ball, and he was going through a lull. From there, the way he's picked himself up in this last 12 months, he is the most improved white ball player by a distance, just the way that he bats spin. And that is what makes this South African team very special. A lot of the South African teams were suspect to spin. This team, this middle order, especially Markram, Heinrich Klaasen and David Miller, actually very, very good players of spin, and they should thank IPL for it, because them coming and spending so much time and practicing with so much of the local spinners has really helped them evolve their game. And if today they are complete players in many ways, it's because they've spent enough time in India between March and May, and that has made them the cricketers that they are. I think they'll be very thankful through their careers because of how well your name starts evolving, not only as the player but also in world cricket. You're feared in many ways if you do well in IPL, and these three are standing examples of that.
Well, someone who did very well in the IPL is our little Malinga, because Pathirana was someone who was so impressive. One is that smile that he brings when he bowls, but he's just been somebody who's grown so much as a cricketer. I think the head coach also, Silverwood, said that, he didn't want to tinker around with his action too much. He said, I wanted to let the X factor be, but just kind of get him prepared for 50 over cricket. What do you think we can expect from him?
I think you got to thank Silverwood here not to overthink
Yes.
and not to try and change his action. I thought he's again a great example of IPL, how he was in the great hands of Mahendra Singh Dhoni, because Dhoni knows how to get the best out of what you have, and that's what he has done with Pathirana. But yeah, if you look at him a year ago when he joined CSK, he wasn't as consistent as he was last year. But now he knows that how to take wickets, when to bowl which one. You have quality. 10 matches, 15 wickets, and he's been impressive with his economy as well. 6.56. It's slightly higher, but you got to understand that he bowls in the both sides of power play. In both sides, I mean the first 10 overs and the slog overs. So that's when you're going to go for some runs. But the wickets that matters the most in this kind of cricket, where flat wickets, you have to, if you want to stop a batter from scoring runs, you have to think of getting him out, and that's something which you usually see from Pathirana. And that name tag and everything will be there. There'll be someone will say Baby Malinga, someone will say Little Malinga. I think M&M would be finally a good name for him. Mini Malinga would be a great name to give him.
But DK, how do you see Shanaka using him? Because there's no Tikshana, there's no Hasaranga. It's almost like he's now going to become like their key bowler. So it's going to be interesting to see how he uses him.
Tikshana is a very big loss for them,
Yes.
and I'll tell you why. Because he bowls with the new ball, and then he bowls with the death as well. So he basically is a spinner, but in many ways he does what fast bowlers do in ODI cricket. So that's a big miss for them. And Pathirana is not the answer for that, because Pathirana is not a new ball bowler yet. He bowls through the middle. So between 10 and 40, you will see him at least bowl 6 overs, and between 41, not even 6, maybe 7 overs, and between 41 and 50, he'll bowl the other 3. If he is coming to bowl in the power play, that means they're really getting pummeled there with the rest of the bowlers. Kasun Rajitha has been picked purely because he can bowl with the new ball. Madhu Shankar, again somebody who's a left-arm medium pacer, brings the ball back in, and he is there to do that job. For them, the struggle will be at the death, because both Kasun Rajitha, Madhu Shankar still slightly better death bowler, but Pathirana will definitely bowl 46, 48, 50 for sure. There is no doubt about it. But Pathirana's role is more through the middle and at the end.
Well, we've got 2 keepers in the house, so we have to talk about another keeper, because I was very surprised with the decision. Quinton de Kock is someone who said he's going to has announced his retirement from ODI cricket. A little surprising there for you all, or did you all see it coming?
He's always been in a hurry to retire. Even from Test cricket, he just hung up his gloves one fine day when he said that he feels his body is not able to take it anymore. ODI cricket, not surprising. Why would players do that? It's simple. I think what they earn in South Africa is probably a little less compared to what they can earn, because like a lot of the cricketers who are doing well in international cricket, he's one of the most sought after players in franchisee cricket, and that is the biggest challenge in today's day and age for ICC and the boards of various countries to hold on to their players. It's not easy. It's a big cycle, and it's a very complicated and a very complex answer. But for the moment, he's chosen to do that so that it gives him enough time to travel around the world and play T20 formats. He'll definitely play the T20 World Cup for South Africa. It'll be interesting to see if he carries on post that. But for the moment, it is his swan song, his last dip in ODI cricket, and he's been a very effective player. If you do look at his stats, it won't be staggering, but you can definitely say he is somebody that South Africa relies on to get them off to a good start.
Parthiv, you all have both spent a lot of time with him, and we know what a solid player he is when it comes to IPL, T20 cricket or bilateral games. But when you see his ICC numbers here, they don't really quite do justice to the player he is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is the reason why we always talk about South Africa as team was not won ICC trophy. So you want your openers to do well, you want your experienced players to do well, and that could be one of the reason why South Africa loses out on a big games. That's when you need your 1, 2, 3 to get runs. But Quinton de Kock's decision, I think I'm not surprised. As you said, I've spent a lot of time with him when he had come in first in IPL. He was with Sunrisers, and then later on, then we played together for RCB. So he's someone like DK, he's someone like us. He's well traveled in IPL teams. But yeah, so knowing him, he does take those decisions right there and then. It's just the impulsive decisions he takes. But rightly, so DK has pointed out the issue of holding on to players. Right, especially the players who are actually at the crossroads of their career, where whether to choose the franchise cricket or to play for country. So that's when it'll be a big challenge, as rightly put it across. But I'm not surprised with Quinton's decision but if you look at him, he's naturally gifted players. He has never turned up for practice. Even if he comes for practice, it'll be like 5 balls, 10 balls, and then he'll go back.
Oh, wow.
And he comes into the game and plays completely differently and just smashes everyone. So yeah, he is a bit of on the spot kind of a character.
You know what was refreshing, I feel, is that very rarely do people come out and say that the truth is I'm doing this because I want more money and we get more money. So he's come out to the media and said that I'm doing this because you're getting more money in franchise cricket. And he also said that his body feels 40 instead of being 31 and mine feels 20. But it's so refreshing to see someone just say it as it is.
I appreciate him for that. It's good to see people come out and be very honest about why they're doing certain things. I think his duty to South Africa and the cricketing world is the fact that he says what he feels like, and that's a choice a lot of people are taking now. It's just that he chooses to say the truth and say it as it is, whereas others obviously try and sugarcoat it as best as possible. And I give him credit for his honesty. He's been a lovely player to watch for South Africa. I think post AB de Villiers, he was the most sought after player in terms of talent, and people were going gaga over him, and he has produced so many match winning knocks for them, albeit it being mostly in bilaterals. I genuinely wish he gets that 100 he needs in World Cup, because he is somebody who, when he gets going, is great fun to watch, because he plays the reverse sweep of the spinner, the pick-up pull that he plays of the fast bowlers. I don't think many can play as well as him.
Well, we'll just quickly look at what's happened in the first game as well, because Afghanistan have gotten out for 156, and the spinners were all over Afghanistan. PP, I was really hoping that Afghanistan is a dark horse in this World Cup, because just a team, it's an underdog story, which I'm a complete rooter for underdog stories, but very tough from here for them.
Yeah, that is surprising that Afghanistan got done by spinners. Looking at what kind of spinners they have in their side, in Mujib and Rashid, so they must be practicing quite a lot. Noor Ahmed also. So that's something which interesting to see that Afghanistan always has those mystery spinners or a wrist spinners, and here if you look at the wickets been taken by the conventional off spinners or a left arm spinner, so that's something which they are probably not used to playing it, and that is the reason why a lot of them got out playing beside the line. That's something usually you do when you're not picking the bowler, you try and protect your pads, but here if you are knowing the spin where it is going, then you would follow the ball, and that could be one of the reason why I think Afghanistan batters have failed against the conventional spinners.
Well, DK, we have to do what is the most important thing of Cricbuzz Live. All the discussion and analysis is one thing, but we have to answer Joy Bhattacharya's question. So if you look at what the joy factor question of the day is, in 5 ODIs, his head coach played against a certain bowling coach. He was thrice dismissed by him. Identify both these coaches of World Cup teams.
In 5 coach.
I think I have a clue who this is, who this battle is between.
I still didn't understand the question, but you can tell me when we have lunch. Have you?
But don't want to give away anything.
No, don't give it away. But Mr. Joy Bhattacharya, your answers, the questions are being answered nowadays. The first game and yesterday.
Yeah.
So I think Joy sir needs to pull his socks up.
They're not answering it. Zach thought of it. Zach thought of it. There's a difference between thinking and answering.
Yeah. Like Zach gave that answer. I was watching a Hindi show and Zach's like, anything could be between 250 to 300. That's a big...
But now another thing which we have to do, which is also very important, and because it's your Cricbuzz kickstart for the World Cup, you go first. Prediction at the end of the first innings.
End of the first inning. 330.
I tell you, this is the part I hate the most. I don't know what the pitch is. If I have a look at the pitch, at least I'm just looking at ground dimensions and I'm thinking, what do I say? Let me just say 285.
330 you said,
330,
na?
yeah.
Okay, so I'll again do what I do best, go somewhere in between. 330, 285. I will go with 310.
Okay.
That's what I'm going to do. It's a team game, and let's at least not get competitive. Someone should win in three of us. Yesterday, Zach won. We celebrated, and we are also going to celebrate his birthday now because it's Zach's birthday. So, wish you a very happy birthday, Zach. We're going to go and cut some cake now and even in the night. We are going to go and also order some nice seafood right now because that's what the plan is. In case you all miss anything, don't forget to join us the 15 over point in the Cricbuzz Combox. We'll see you soon.